All right, we're back in it. Last segment of the Pastor and the Professor, episode 8. Terrorism 2.0 in black and white. We left off dealing with a whole plethora, that's redundant, a plethora of things pertaining to, I guess, the aesthetic makeup, the ideological beliefs and separation thereof between what's considered a terrorist, international terrorist versus domestic terrorist.
And I really appreciated the point you made over the break about how these two brothers have not been labeled white.
Yeah, that's strange. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
and I'm shocked. And yeah, like Chris Rock used to make a joke, you were white, you whatever, you was a cracker, a Russian cracker, or whatever. This is strange, and I think once again, the only thing I can deduce from this whole situation is that once you become, in essence, how some poor whites can begin to dress or act like the caricature of the nigger, and those that are in the viewing audience understand what I'm saying, what people consider to be black or consider to be of African, I guess, Afrocentrism, right? Those whites or those non-blacks that adopt that culture, even though most of it is false, stereotypical, and caricatures, they become niggas. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that's why they've connected those two kids with, and that's what they were, 20-something-year-old, they were connected with Islam, which now makes them no longer white.
Yeah, right.
They're Muslim.
You can't be.
And it seems like a burqa automatically make you not white, right? And so we're trying to figure out, as far as terrorism is concerned, I think it's more of a religious ideology. And which is strange is I don't know much about Islam. I do know I have Muslims that I do come into contact with, that I work with. I guess Orthodox Muslims. I have NOI, which some people don't consider that being true Islam. I have old neighbors that I know, friends that are that. But what's intriguing is that I don't understand what they think or why the media thinks everyone that is of the Islamic faith becomes an extremist, and that they are about invoking fear and violence upon our nation just because they are of the Islamic faith.
I want to shout out Stephanie Desant, who is one of the associates of Woman Preach Incorporated, and she recently chimed in on us saying, again, that it is a form of control based upon a mythical notion of power, just like, as you talk about domestic terrorism, white terrorism, the KKK, radical right-wing Christians, right? Yeah. And mythical notions of power at times are based on religious delusions. Yeah. So it is, and I hope we're not sounding too redundant, but if you look at the way that this has been framed, people do need to hammer this thing home, that we are indicting people based upon their ethnicity and not their action, because their action can very well be deemed American. But we don't like to deem people American if they don't fit within the framework of American exceptionalism. But I do think that there's one more overarching tension, and it's not just the whole notion of ethnicity and even terrorism, the way it's been framed, but it is this notion of liberty and freedom versus safety and comfort. And so we were talking over the break about how oftentimes people say, I couldn't believe that they did this sort of stuff, and they don't feel safe. And part of what terrorists are trying to do is invoke fear and let people know about the lack of safety. Well, I just don't believe we can have the type of idealistic country and culture of freedom and liberty and think somehow that we're going to remain safe and protected. You just don't have that. If I have liberty and freedom, this means, even though it may be illegal, I have the liberty and freedom to do harm and violence to other people who have liberty and freedom.
Free will.
Yeah. So y'all gonna have to meet me at Abyssinian for that one. The God I Know series has been going really good. 3890 Mill Branch, Whitehaven. Be an Abyssinian. That's all I'm gonna say.
I think, in dealing with the closing of this show, or trying to sum this all up, and we didn't really get around to it as much, but we still have to look at it, and I mentioned this before, probably on shows before. If you catch me on Facebook, you hear me talking about this, or at least commenting or posting on this a lot, that there's a devaluing of black bodies. Like, it's intriguing that I remember at one point, last summer, 2012, at one point, there were 26 shooting victims. Quite a few of them died in one weekend in Chicago.
Right.
And it was mentioned on the ticker on CNN, maybe MSNBC, maybe even Fox News. But it was not valued. It was not given the immediate attention or the public outcry or even the public prayers that I've seen on so many social networks as those 3 victims and numerous other victims who were hurt, but the 3 who died So I think there's still a devaluing of the black body. Why won't we even address this? And even in the community that I'm from, being a black American, I think we should be just as up in arms about all of our chocolate cities going. What's happening here? Innocent people are being killed for no particular motivation, even if these people are antithetical to what you may deem to be the American way of life. I would deem my American way of life is to be, I want my life to be null and void of
violence,
and dangerous physicality.
Yeah.
So these guys, in the hood are just as much terrorists as Timothy McVeigh, as Osama and the Al Qaeda, as the terroristic activities that Saddam was doing in Iraq, and also as if these two young men are guilty of this.
Let me ask your perspective on something. I know we're closing up, but I cannot remember exactly who put this thought in my mind in the conversation we were having. So y'all shoot us some on Facebook and claim credit for this. But somebody
we're gonna plagiarize.
somebody was saying, because I was talking about the same point that we've been trying to bring up in terms of let's give some of that same militaristic attention, you know what I'm saying, and federal attention.
Yes.
Right. Well, but this is what they said in response to that, and it's intriguing to have me thinking, so I want to hear your thoughts on it. They said, well, if we were to use the government as a means of minimizing the terroristic violence and activity in these chocolate and brown communities, then in essence, we would be asking them to invoke martial law. And so, in that sense, we would be complaining that they're taking their freedoms away.
In a police state.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I had an idiot.
That's crazy, right, though?
There was an idiot respond on one of my posts when I mentioned, while you're praying for Boston, remember to pray for Chicago.
Right.
And Chicago is symbolic, or a metaphor in this instance, to every brown and black major city that has this issue with violence and major league crime. And the person said it's different. You can't compare Boston to Memphis or DC or Baltimore, right? Or Chicago or St. Louis. It's different. And they never could comment what they meant by it being different. My idea of terrorism is when someone is trying to invoke fear through the use of violence and force and deadly violence, right? And it's no different. And if the attention were to be highlighted upon these neighborhoods, unfortunately, we might have to live in what some people can deem a police state, because there are no longer any freedoms when there is massive terror going on, whether it's a police state or not, whether you're under martial law or not. If you're ducking and hiding and peeping, and you're ducking and hiding,
you're still under martial law anyway.
You're under martial law anyway by these
just by de facto military. By de facto military,
they are.
So the gangs become
a police force.
Wow,
they are policing you.
Yeah.
They are paying attention to what you do. They're letting you know what can and cannot be done. And if you violate, you're not going to get arrested. You're going to be killed. They are governing you.
Wow.
And so the person never commented on that. And I want to send
That's a good point, G.
Thank you, man.
You didn't sound like a coon right there. You sound like
I sound like I had some sense.
Yeah.
I woke up on the right side of the bed today. I want to say to people like that, whenever massive violence is happening, that's more of terrorism to me than these isolated incidents. And why, once again, why are you so concerned? And this was a black person, black female. Why are you so concerned?
No, I ain't messed up about you being concerned about that. Why are you so unconcerned?
That's what I'm saying.
With the
Why are you so unconcerned? And the person's reply was, black folks killing each other. That's no. Terrorism ain't got nothing to do. That's what we've been trying to deconstruct.
Terrorism don't have nothing to do with ethnicity.
Damn your aesthetic.
Or nationality.
There you go.
Or religious affiliation.
Nope.
Whenever you are under the assumption that you can use violence and force as a means of obtaining some mythical power, you are a terrorist, and we stand against you, coward.
Or trying to invoke some fear based on your violence to try to control me.
That's right.
I don't give a damn what color you are, how much money you have or don't have.
What nationality
but again,
you are.
Why are you not as concerned about your own body being decimated?
Or anybody's body for that matter. Why don't we pick and choose the justice?
But again, we got to get deeper into this person's comment.
Yeah.
Black folk doing that to themselves. No. These black terrorists or whatever these terrorists in these communities are doing this to us.
Right.
Just like they did that to the people in Boston.
Because I'm black and I ain't doing it to
That's
you.
what I'm saying. So I think we need to start looking at, and amazing, once again, we don't like to put an aesthetic value or an aesthetic face on the idea of terrorism. but apparently the media has put a color, and they've also put a religious affiliation with it, being brown and now you can be a white Muslim. You're antithetical to the American way of life, which I have no idea what that is. Like I said before, ours is nonviolence. We want to stay out the way of that. So that's about all I gotta say on that.
Look, we have to wrap this show up, but this is what we want to let you know, that we are in the process of working out some things to take this show on the road. So if you or somebody you know are appreciating what we are doing on the Pastor and the Professor, how we conversing, the subject matter, the substance, the content, and all of that,
discourse.
We want you to send us an email or send us something on Facebook to let us know. We will be willing to negotiate something and come to a campus or a facility near you, no matter where you are in the United States.
Church basement, soul food kitchen.
He might be going to some of them spots.
We ready for you. Bring us there.
That would a terrorist be at.
At the church, at the basement, somebody, don't call us for that.
Look, get ready to check out Scandal. Shout out to my lovely wife.
Scandal,
I'm
really?
coming home. It's about to go down.
ABC owe us some money. Scandal, really?
Yeah.
You gonna promote them? We need to get some money for that.
Yeah, send a tithe, ABC, to Abyssinian Missionary Baptist Church. That's ABC too, by the way.
Once again, we're back at it. We're glad to be back. Great time to be back. We will not leave you wanting any or longing anymore. We're back at it. Pastor and Professor, episode 8. We will be back next week and the week after and the week after that. If the Lord willing and the creek don't rise.
Catch us on the YouTube channel, The Pastor and the Professor. Catch us on Facebook, The Pastor and the Professor. Catch us on Ustream, The Pastor and the Professor. So for any of y'all out there who thinking y'all may be trying to take our name, we are trademarking this thing. It's
it's done deal. And the Professor, we see you. Don't try to steal it from us. Back at it next week. Peace to the righteous. Back. There you go.
Yeah, back in the same.